Some anime characters feel oddly similar. It's like the same character but from different franchises. Hell, even beyond anime and in different mediums, some just feel and act too similar. Why is it that authors who aren't necessarily inspired by or copy each other somehow end up coming up with similar characters in their stories? Well, that can be credited to the tropes in writing. In simple words, a character trope is a recognizable element within a story or plot that defines or conveys information about a character. But what I'm referring to isn't exactly that, but rather character archetypes, a deeper psychological classification of human behavior and personalities introduced by Carl Jung. You see, I'm really into psychology, the art of studying the mind and behavior for the purpose of understanding human beings. But also just so happens that I really love martial arts, the art of beating the shit out of human beings. So you will hear me ramble about Jujutsu Kaisen characters and their fighting styles in this video by conveying who best matches these 8 different archetypes. Here is the boring big brain definition of the concept. Personality archetypes are universal symbols and patterns that are present in the collective unconscious of all humans. They are innate and inherited, and they shape our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Jung believed that by understanding these archetypes, we could gain insight into the human psyche and better understand ourselves and others. He likened archetypes to the instinctual patterns of behavior, meaning that they are something that can be understood without a proper definition, that we all instinctively already understand. And now, with that out of the way, let's dive into the first archetype, the trickster, arguably the most stacked category in this series. And no wonder it is. With a power system as tricky in itself, with so much variety in techniques and importance of having hidden cards, a lot of characters in Jujutsu Kaisen fall into this archetype. People like Naobito Zenin, Jiro Awasaka, Hakari Kinji, and Kirara Hoshi, with techniques that are playful in themselves and constantly puts their adversary on edge and force them to solve a puzzle as they go, resulting in the characters themselves having playful personalities that constantly bait, mock, and throw off the opponent. Others like Registar and Atsuya Kusakabe portray the tricky aspect of the personality and behavior even more, because they don't have a technique that necessarily dictate that trait. Also, Haruta Shigemoto and Mihiko Takaba are 2 examples of people that have some of the most powerful techniques in the series, but they don't even understand them themselves, creating even more confusion on the battlefield and resulting in them depending on or making use of that to confuse, shock, and trick people even more than other pure tricksters tend to do. And next, with what might be the total opposite of the trickster, we have the brawler. Unlike the trickster who tricks and showboats, the brawler is the one to brawl and fight. The one who is willing to take in damage but be able to close in the distance and deal damage themselves. He is the battle maniac who enjoys the act of fighting for the sake of fighting. And no single character in JJK portrays this more than the best of Endo himself, Aoi Todo, who constantly seeks a challenge and throws himself headfirst into any battle, just like his teacher and spiritual mother, Yuki, who is probably the most aggressive hand-to-hand fighter in the series. With her technique that imbues virtual mass in every attack, no wonder she is the ultimate brawler. All she needs to is be in your face and smacking the shit out of you. Others who fall into this category are Panda, because of his nature and fighting style, Yorozu because of her personality, and Hazenoki because of his technique. Keep in mind that archetypes choose you, not the other way around, and you can realize this later on in life, like Hanami, who started to love the act of fighting and enjoy it for herself. Next is the technician, someone who definitely hates the brawler. The technician is the person that focuses on analyzing and breaking down the enemy and all elements at hand. The one who is often willing to play safe until they have a proper plan at hand, or at least they make sure they figure out every possible outcome. They only care about winning, Megumi and his father Toji are battle geniuses that are some of the best tactical fighters in the series. And when this type is granted amazing power, we get people like Okotsu, who is literally a genius at everything. Fast, strong, durable, and very smart, which is a trait that the strongest people around all seem to have. And it's the technician that makes use of it the most. Kokuchimuta is another example of how pure intellect can make you a scary opponent or a reliable and efficient ally. Next, we have the artist, the one to express and create. It's the ones that go to extreme measures to evolve and showcase their craft, like Charles Bernard, a French manga artist, Daido, the equivalent of Miyamoto Musashi, someone who lives by the way of the sword, and Mio, a sumo practitioner who seeks nothing more than mastering his body and the combat sport he lives by. I would also put Ino in this category. He has one extremely unique technique and he channels it with such an elegant way that expresses his grit and mentality. He believes in doing the right thing, refusing to be promoted to first grade without being recommended by his idol and mentor Nanami. He stands for the way he does things, and that is an artist trait. But as shocking as it might be, there isn't anyone who is more artistic than Mahito, the guy who treats all human life as a canvas for his experiments and philosophies. His technique in itself is creative, how he seeks to understand the soul and shape life as a whole. His hands are twisted brushes with which he paints chaos and suffering. Mahito is such a loose unit. He doesn't only fall in 1 or 2 archetypes, but 5 of them. He is a trickster and a brawler, and he falls in some of the next ones too. After all, he is the curse that came from humanity, and representing humanity's archetypes on this level of flexibility makes sense and is truly artistic, if you ask me. Moving on to the bully. This is the person that likes to hurt and antagonize other people. They find joy in inflicting physical and mental damage on others, often playing with them or provoking them to push them into despair or hatred. And this can vary from Nobara, who lightly bullies anyone around her, to Sukuna in how cruel this archetype can be. And of course we have Gojo in here as well. It isn't surprising that the 2 strongest characters in the whole verse are of similar archetypes and parallel each other a lot. This archetype is probably the most complex one out of the bunch because of how twisted this behavior and these sorts of dark desires are. Someone like Mei Mei is so unpredictable and comes off as a psychopath sometimes, while someone like Naoya is quite literally everything that is wrong in human beings. He makes Mahito look good. By the way, Mahito also fits in this archetype. Naoya is a bully by all definitions. Add to that a tablespoon of misogyny and sprinkle a lot of arrogance and superiority complex. And of course, you get the hateful, provoking piece of shit that is supposed to be the pride of the Zenin. As twisted as this archetype can be, it is often these guys that grow the most and make a full circle when their development is complete. And they hopefully sometimes begin to change to something better. Not Naoya and Mahito though. Fuck those guys. And now we get to the archetype with the most heart, the warrior. The warrior is the hard worker who pushes against all odds and supports others while battling bravely. He is the protagonist, and it is often hard to hate this person. Of course, we have Itadori in here, probably the most tragic shonen character ever, and yet he never drops to his knees and gives up. No matter what life throws at him, he will still hit it with a left-right goodnight combo and push through. People like Maki and Noritoshi Kamo, who are also protagonists on their own, each with their own cup of hardship in their battle, but they keep on moving on nonetheless. The author does a great job showing how their appearance changes, symbolizing their growth and change. That is often for the better. Noritoshi got the strength to move on after everything that he went through and dropped all the chains he had on him since his birth. And Maki, well, that's a long story. Even someone as minor as Yuko Ozawa or even Junpei can fit in here. Characters like Choso and Dagon stand for what they believe in and support their allies and family, while carrying the burden of loss and driven by revenge or the need to support while still moving forward and enduring all types of pain while they're at it. The warrior is inspiring and likable. The next archetype is the Crusader, and he is the person who answers and spreads. The Crusader is someone driven by a higher goal in life, and they pursue it and give it their full dedication, whether it be a religious calling or an uprising and revolting ambition against discrimination. He is the person that does things for the greater good of a goal. People like Geto pursues changing the balance of life as a whole in favor of sorcerers. Someone like Yogo, who seeks to usher a new world where curses reign supreme. Even Hanami and Dagon fit in here because of their nature as natural spirits who pursue the way of life that guards and preserves that nature. Tengen, who maintains this current world order and is basically the governor of all humans and sorcerers. Hanakurusu and Angel, who are an envoy of peace and seekers of justice. And speaking of justice, Hiromi Higuruma is a man who is constantly trying to reach the perfect worldview on morality and the balance between punishment and reward. A man who flipped his view on the subject matter twice for the sake of true justice, and that's what everything in his life is for. And now to the last archetype, which is the monk. The monk is the person on a spiritual or physical journey. He is out there to learn and grow, not driven by any big ideal goal like the Crusader, nor is he necessarily battling against any specific odds. He is just doing this for the sake of himself. And there are either people who are selfishly doing what pleases them, or have dedicated their life to guide others and teach them. Kenjaku is the biggest example of a monk in this series. He literally has a 1,000-year-old plan in motion, caused the death of thousands of people in the world, toyed with life as he wished just because he finds the results of these experiments to be interesting. He is not a villain with a moral goal, and these are the means necessary. Not at all. He is a psychopath that has the wisdom of a millennia, and he chooses to do whatever he likes to learn more and achieve the impossible, to blur the line between human and curse, between life and death, and between the body and the soul. Others, unlike him, can be like Kashimo, who is the battle-driven monk, the pure martial artist, or should I say, the pure sorcerer who only cares about becoming stronger and understanding its meaning. He lived a full life and had no regrets, possibly hailed as the strongest in his era, the Gojo of his time, yet he was still hungry for more. He came back just to test himself and get answers from the true strongest. Another battle maniac whose philosophy is grounded in fighting is Ishigori Ryu. But aside from a battle maniac and a crazy scientist, a monk can be as human as Nanami is, asking simple questions like the proper path of life, what career suits him, and the value of innocent life. A man who went back and forth between normal society and the world of Jujutsu, yet all he sees is natural suffering, and decided to be as helpful, as supportive to the innocent ones that haven't seen what he has. Imai Rin is a minor character, but he fits the description here more than any of these possibly. He isn't strong, he isn't special, and that's why he seeks growth and wants to be better. And of course, Mahito is also in this category. Somehow he has the biggest spiritual journey in the cast and is fully on the path of growth and development when he's not torturing people for the sake of fun or finding new disgusting ways to transform them. This is a random video that I simply made because I found the topic interesting, and for those that don't know, I've already made a series of individual character analysis, and this video is meant to shed light on the ones I didn't cover or the smaller side characters that are still intriguing, masterfully crafted, and deserve to be discussed. Thanks for watching till the end. Check out my gaming channel if you're interested, and see ya in the next one.